The Great Pyramid of Giza and the Sphinx are much older than previously thought. Multiple researchers are bringing out evidence. They're not only 4,000 or 5,000 years old, they're much older. First of all, the alignment of the pyramids of Giza show that they're aligned with the Orion belt, the constellation of Orion, as it was over that area 10,500 years BC. The Great Pyramid and surrounding pyramids at the Giza complex are much older than 4,500 years old, as Egyptologists claim. New research conducted by scientists free to think outside of the box agree that this figure is not right. Now here you'll see images from photos that were taken in the 19th century. The Sphinx of the Giza Plateau was still buried in sand up to its neck. So this is basically at the beginning of the interest in ancient Egypt. After all the sand was removed, they started examining the Giza Plateau, and what they found since then is astonishing. You'll also see upcoming here, they believe that there is a second Sphinx buried in the mound around 3 or 4 o'clock position that still has to be excavated. No work is being done on that yet, but they believe that there could be a second Sphinx buried there because there are usually 2 Sphinxes guarding an area, not just one. And upcoming now, you'll see that there is a similar construction in China. The image on the left is the Shanxi province of China, and on the left is Giza, the Giza Plateau, and you'll see that they're basically aligned the same way. Yes, China has many pyramids. Now going back to the Egyptian plateau, and of course the China pyramids are aligned the same way as the Giza pyramids, meaning that they were also most probably built around the same time period. So the Giza complex is believed to be much older than 4,500 years old, as Egyptologists claim, and new research conducted by scientists agree that this figure is not right. Egyptologists assert that markings made by a work gang in the Great Pyramid, allegedly from the 4th dynasty, cite Pharaoh Khufu, and this to them proves that it was made during that time. But this argument is not proven because stone, in this case limestone, cannot be carbon dated since it's not an organic material. There's no concrete proof that it was built during Khufu's reign. This means, from an epistemology perspective, the Khufu claim is more akin to accepted myth and academic doctrine than substantiated fact. So what does this matter? There are multiple reasons why this is important, ranging from understanding the complexities of this ancient civilization to reconstructing what we know as a story of humanity and how we evolved on the planet. So it has to do with anthropology, not just archaeology. Now, the lack of evidence-based argument for the age of the pyramid leaves the door open for other researchers, and those that have stepped up to the plate have not disappointed us. According to Robert M. Scotch is a professor at the College of General Studies at Boston University. He claims that the Great Sphinx, which sits in front of the Great Pyramid complex at Giza, is about 13,500 years old. He cites water erosion patterns as proof some kind of major catastrophe took place in antiquity, wherein large volumes of water were washing over this plateau. Egyptologists assert that the Sphinx was built during Pharaoh Khafre's reign, which was about 2558 to 2532 BC. That's about, 4,500 years ago, a few short decades after the date cited above. But Egyptologists reject such as research, which has been summarily ignored by academics. However, no valid counter-argument is provided. A valid counter-argument is important because in the scientific process, claims need to be evidence-based, and Scotch provides superior evidence for his age of the Sphinx, citing weather erosion on the Sphinx itself and the surrounding rock face. This means if Egyptologists wanted to truly debunk his claim, they'd have to incorporate his evidence, namely by providing a better explanation as to why there are water erosion patterns. This suggests Scotch's numbers are the more accurate ones, at least until more evidence becomes available. Although his claim does not directly relate to the age of the pyramids, it's believed that they were likely built by the same, much more ancient civilization. Now, what could that civilization be? Some claim the legendary Atlantean civilization discussed by Plato. Now, we know that the Emerald Tablets, and you'll find a playlist in my videos on the Emerald Tablets, they were written by Thoth the Atlantean, who claims that he was one of the beginning deities of ancient Egypt. He claims that the Atlanteans had very advanced technology. They had air travel and space travel, interstellar travel, interdimensional travel, time travel. And the interdimensional means that they were zipping from one dimension to another. And he claims that he also had a spaceship. Thoth buried his spaceship, he said, under a sphinx in the plateau of pyramids. He doesn't tell us if it's Giza Plateau or the Saqqara Plateau or some other plateau in Egypt, but he did tell us that he hid his spaceship under a sphinx in a plateau. Now, he also tells us that they had underground luxurious cities under the plateau of the pyramids. We know that there is an underground luxurious city under Saqqara and also under Giza. And he claims that they have been around for thousands of years and that they lived very long lives, and that they had gone to, so those Atlanteans that had escaped the destruction of Atlantis had gone to other areas of the world and set up new civilizations, new cities, new communities with their advanced technology, building pyramids, and in fact becoming their overlords or their deities. And Thoth himself was one of the first deities considered a god, quote unquote, of ancient Egypt. Now, Manly P. Hall also tells us that he believes that these unidentified flying objects and extraterrestrials guiding these UFOs over our skies lately can be the ancient Atlanteans that are still among us. In other words, ancestors of ours. So, this has to do with the legendary Atlantean civilization, also discussed by Plato, the ancient Greek. Now, Robert Scotch's detailed presentation at the Portal to Ascension conference in 2018 explains the science and geology behind the dating of the Sphinx, the erosion, the water erosion that is. And then we have Graham Hancock, who is a journalist and author, who's written several New York bestseller books. He's known for his exploration of ancient history. In this instance, Hancock worked with Robert Bauval to bring forth the Orion constellation theory, which claims that the Great Pyramid complex is almost a perfect match of the Orion constellation. Given this, Hancock and Bauval both claim that these megaliths, these pyramids, could be at least 12,000 years old, which means that since the pyramids in China also have the Orion constellation orientation, they also were built around that time. Now, other researchers such as Billy Carson from Forbidden Knowledge date the Sphinx to an even earlier period, 36,000 years ago, claiming that Leo was the constellation that the Sphinx was facing and that it would not have been possible to build the Sphinx 13,500 years ago due to the conditions of the terrain, since the planet was coming right out of an ice age. We can view Billy Carson's presentation at the Portal to Ascension conference with the link here of the 2018 conference. Then we have the Younger Dryas impact. Multiple researchers, including Hancock, cite the Younger Dryas impact theory as evidence some massive cataclysm changed the face of our whole Earth some 12,000 to 13,000 years ago. Additionally, mainstream research suggests that the Sahara Desert was flooded by monsoon rains about 10,000 years ago. Could this be the source of the water erosion patterns mentioned by Scotch? And then we have the legends of Atlantis, as I told you before, with the emerald tablets. Now, no discussion of the pyramids would be complete without mentioning Atlantis. Atlantis is the legendary, highly advanced civilization from antiquity, which some say could have been a global civilization. Plato is the most widely cited source for this, mentioning Atlantis in Timaeus and Critias. In that work, Solon, a poet and lawmaker, claims to have visited Neath, where priests he met were told him of historic accounts of Atlantis. In other words, he visited Egypt, and that's where the Egyptian high priest told him of ancient Atlantis. Solon is believed to be a real person, of course, he was an ancient Greek, and so while Plato's dialogues are fictional, they are considered laden with true history. Atlantis is discovered in the Bermuda Triangle. The sunken city features giant pyramids and sphinxes as well. Atlantis is so widely discussed by some people, so many people, from academics and archaeologists to ufologists, spiritualists, and even mediums. While not every claim matches up, dozens share the same basic narrative. The story is that Atlantis was a highly advanced global civilization that appeared around 30,000 to 40,000 years ago. They used advanced technology that we would regard as magic, such as free energy devices, portal technology, stargates, and spacecraft. Some even say that this civilization also colonized planets and moons in our solar system. The common thread that relates to this discussion is when and how Atlantis fell. Almost all these alternative sources suggest that when Atlantis fell, the whole of the civilized world in that time went with it. For thousands of years, humanity was effectively thrust back into the Stone Age, and then, seemingly out of nowhere, the Sumerian civilization burst onto the scene, complete with a financial system, legal system, agriculture, and fairly advanced technology at the time. So how is this possible? Mainstream historians can't answer this question, but anyone with common sense would likely agree that the Sumerian culture was likely influenced by a much older civilization. Furthermore, would it not make sense that the erosion patterns on the Sphinx point to a time when water was more abundant, and that the pyramids are most likely an artifact of a much older advanced civilization? If all this is not enough to at least spark your curiosity, consider these incredible facts about the Great Pyramids. There are over 2 million stone blocks in the Great Pyramid, weighing anywhere from 2 to 50 tons. The Great Pyramid is aligned at 0.067 degrees counterclockwise from perfect cardinal alignment of true north. Modern-day buildings are not built with this level of precision. The Great Pyramid is earthquake-proof. The irregular blocks make an almost invincible structure. The Great Pyramid is actually 8-sided with such precision that for decades historians never noticed this. The Great Pyramid encloses fundamental mathematical constraints like pi and phi ratios, and the Great Pyramid, as Hancock and Bouval assert, is an almost perfect reflection of the constellation of Orion. The Great Pyramid can focus energy within its various chambers. Last in this short list, a large void or cavity was recently detected inside the Great Pyramid. These are just a few mysterious facts that leave modern-day scientists baffled. The conclusion: despite what mainstream media and academia contend, we know very little about arguably the most fascinating of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The philosophy of knowledge epistemology helps us sort fact from fiction, using these tried and true tools of analysis, the very same tools at the heart of science. The accepted age of the Great Pyramid is highly suspect. There's more evidence to support Scotch's claim than there is to confirm official dogma coming from Egyptologists. The internet has given humanity an unprecedented ability to question official claims. In the past, researchers like Scotch and Hancock would probably never have a chance to share their valuable research. Reference is portal-to-ascension.org, and this is on Humans Are Free. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.